Good evening. It's Thursday, January 2nd, 2025. That's 1, 2, and 2025. First, I'd like to sum this up, breaking 2025 into two double-digit numbers to give us a fuller interpretation of the year. Including more digits into our interpretation helps give us a rounder interpretation of what's going on this year, because there is a lot going on this year. Just as anticipated, as soon as we rolled over into this new year, we had so many really wild things happen. It wasn't unexpected, but still, the things that happened, the types of things that have happened on our planet are still shocking. The vibrations that it sends through could really throw you off if you let it. And that's the reason why it was so important to move into this new year with the resolve. Not waiting until the year turned over to start really making those changes, putting those plans into action, and then really following through. Because it seemed like a lot of the events that happened were timed to coincide with the beginning of this year. Almost as if they knew how powerful that this year was going to be for the evolution or the ascension of the collective. Almost like they knew how powerful, momentous this first day of 2025 would be for the ascension of the collective. The first thing that I notice when I look at it is I see 1, 2, and 9. We know that 1 is an energy of ideation, initiation, getting started. And 2 is an energy of listening, reflecting, allowing yourself to feel the situation first before acting. So those two energies really balance each other. So it goes from 1 to 2 and then straight to 9. That tells me that all that really matters right now is that you're just acting. You're acting on your intuition. We had a whole year to really hone that. We had so many things that happened last year that we've never experienced before, and so much of it that we're already in the habit, in the groove of having to make these decisions that are based on your gut. By the time the year ended, we've become more seasoned at making these types of decisions. By the time we got to the end of the year, there's so many things that we realized no longer served us that we had to let go of. So now we've already gone through the hardest part. So we're entering 2025 with not as much baggage. There's no real surprises right now. It's just about follow through. And in the last message that I channeled, there was an energy of there is no precedent for the energy that we're feeling right now. But we've been conditioned to hold more light because with the increased solar activity that we've experienced and all these different celestial events and astrological events and just the numerological aspects of the year, the things that have manifested, the energies that we've received little by little, we are now holding more light than we've ever held before. So things that we may have thought were not possible in the past, all of a sudden, those limiting beliefs, it was necessary for us to get rid of all those limiting beliefs because we can do more than we ever thought that we could do. But you'll never know that you can do it until you take a chance. So now is the opportunity to really spread your wings, to try out your new wings. You're no longer going to be restricted to crawling on the ground anymore. It's a whole new territory up there. There's more that's possible. There's more to do, more to see, and there's a lot more to feel. this higher vibration is going to be more about feeling and less about thinking. There is going to be some thought. It's not that it's thoughtlessness. It's just that we learn that it's not exactly half logic and half intuition. It kind of fluctuates. And sometimes it might be 2/3 intuition and only a third logic, or vice versa. You have to play it by the way that you feel it. It's going to be really important for you to really sit with yourself and get more accustomed to sitting with yourself, really getting to know yourself, understanding, accepting both your light and your shadow. And I'm not saying good or bad. I'm saying light and dark. In this higher vibration, we're looking at things more from the aspect of light versus darkness and integrating both aspects of yourself, not judging the darker aspects of yourself as bad and necessarily the light aspects of yourself as good, but understanding that light and dark, like in the yin yang symbol, it's necessary for both in order to create. That destruction is a part of creation, and creation and destruction work together in order to maintain an order or an energetic equilibrium on the planet. It's more about flow. The yin yang symbol, the way that it's depicted, when you look at it, we see this symbol and it looks like it's standing still, but actually the yin yang symbol is constantly in motion. It never stops. And you also notice that the white section of the yin yang symbol has a dark center for the eye, and the dark section of the yin yang symbol has a little white section for the eye. So it reminds me of a saying that I heard, that it takes a little bit of the virus to make the vaccine. It takes a little bit of the venom to make the antivenom. So shadow work is extremely necessary when getting to know oneself, because when you allow yourself to sit and embrace both the light and the dark aspects of yourself, if you don't learn to recognize the darkness in yourself, then you won't be able to recognize when a whole cloud of darkness comes your direction. By allowing yourself to get familiar with both the light and the dark aspects of yourself, you are then able to recognize whenever darkness comes your way, and you know how to process it. Just because you encounter darkness does not mean you have to take it on, but it should be recognized, it should be honored, it should be felt through the body, moved through the body, appreciated for whatever it is. And that appreciation allows you to extract the lesson from it. When you experience an energy that is darker, it's not the energy itself that is bad. It's what you do with it. You are an appliance, and using your free will, you have the ability to transmute any energy into any other energy. For instance, if a dark energy comes your way, that energy could be something that someone else projected onto you. It could be an energy directed towards you from someone who was experiencing unprocessed grief, unprocessed trauma. And there was something about your light that shone onto an aspect of themselves that they had been hiding within their shadow self. They weren't ready to address it yet. And instead of forcing themselves, making themselves, allowing themselves to sit with that illuminated aspect of themselves that they had been holding in the shadows, out of a reflex, out of shock and grief, they grabbed that memory, they grabbed that pain, they grabbed that shame, and they threw it upon you so they didn't have to internalize it. It's easier for them to take that shame, that blame, that pain, and project it onto you because it's easier to look at someone else and persecute someone else for those things that make them feel ashamed than to examine it, process it through, and then extract the lesson and allow that energy to flow through the body. So just because you encounter darkness doesn't mean you have to take it on and then allow that to become a part of your expression. When you encounter darkness, approach it from an aspect of empathy. Allow that darkness to flow through your body and your energetic field, and understand where that darkness is coming from so that you learn a lesson, and instead of it making you bitter and angry, transmute that energy and allow it to make you more compassionate. You can transmute that energy into a healing vibration. And once you feel that healing, you then know how to project that healing back onto the person that it came from. Instead of throwing that hurt energy back onto the person who threw it at you, allow yourself to feel that dark energy, understand where it came from so that you can transmute it into something healing, and allow yourself to feel the healing from that, and use that empathy to project that energy back to where it came from and wish that person healing, and then move on. So today is January 2nd, 2025. This whole month of January is a 1 month. So it's going to be about initiation. January is always about a nice, healthy, energetic start to the year where you move forward in earnest and follow through with the objectives that you've set for yourself that are in alignment with the vibration of the year. The vibration of this year is 9. And after having so many things revealed to us that no longer served us, and having the opportunity to make new plans for our lives, basically to reintroduce us to us, and realize that this new version of ourselves has no need for those old limiting beliefs and those old ways of being. Learning what to keep and what to let go before moving into this new 9 vibration, lighter and also more prepared and holding more light. When I look at January 2nd, 2025, I see a 1, a 2, and then I'm splitting 2025 into two double-digit numbers. So 20 plus 25 is 45. So 45 plus 1 plus 2 gives me 48. 48 sums to 12, and 12 sums down to 3. Today's date is really emphasizing the necessity of integrating both the masculine, the divine masculine, and the divine feminine in order to create something that fulfills a purpose that the divine masculine or the divine feminine were not originally able to address on their own. It's about creating unique solutions by combining the best aspects of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, extracting the best aspects of the divine masculine and the divine feminine, knowing what to emphasize and what things to disregard. It's about understanding what's relevant, taking what resonates and leaving the rest. It doesn't mean honor what resonates and hate the rest. It's not really about judging. It's just about taking what resonates and then leaving the rest. Just because it's not relevant now doesn't mean that it won't be relevant in the future. This is not about judging. Another way that I'm seeing it is to combine January 2nd and make it look almost like a 12, okay? So that's about, like, it's not just as simple as sacrificing, but you could say sacrifice. I'm thinking more like if the consideration in exchange for receiving a good or a service. So I'm seeing 12, and then the next three digits are 202. So that literally tells me that in order to receive the breakthrough, there is a price of admission. There's a price to be paid. There are sacrifices that need to be made in order for you to receive your breakthrough. There's a breakthrough that's imminent, but in order for you to receive your breakthrough, I'm getting the image again of the furniture. You can buy the furniture, but if you haven't made space for the furniture, if you haven't cleaned or made room for the new furniture, you can't take it home. You're not going to buy furniture and leave it outside. You're not going to buy furniture until you've already made room for it anyway. So there's a gift that's waiting for you, but until you actually make room for it, it's just not going to happen. So if you want this breakthrough to happen, you need to make room for it. Another way that I'm looking at 2025 is I'm being drawn to the 25. And 25 is an energy of, it's like almost like rushing, moving really fast. And when we move really fast, sometimes we tend to forget things. Have you ever rushed out of the door and you forgot your wallet, and then you're like, and then you go in and you get your wallet, but you're still rushing, and then you get back out to the car, and then you realize that you left your driver's license sitting on the nightstand or something, or and you go back out to the car, and then when you get there, you realize that you left your lunch bag or something. There's a lot of excitement going on, and it's really important that you ground yourself so that you don't miss something important, so that you don't leave home without something important. This whole year is going to be really fast because it's 2025. It ends with 25. 24 is about gathering all the things that you need. And last year, that's basically what it was. We received a lot of information, we received a lot of experiences, and we also received actual resources, spiritual resources, financial resources, by way of some tables turning. If you had been if there had been something that was due you and you hadn't received it, all of a sudden circumstances changed for you last year in order for you to get the things that you need to be ready for this 2025 year. And so now that we have all had the experiences that we needed to get us ready for 2025, now 2025, the divine sees it necessary to move through 2025 in a very rapid fashion. There's something really exciting in store, and 2025 has been preordained to move very quickly. There's an energy of, if you haven't taken the time to make your plans for 2025, if you haven't gotten yourself ready, if you're moving without a plan, you're going to have to go with the flow. You're going to have to follow your gut. You're going to have to accept the lessons from every experience. Don't look at the lessons as being a bad thing. Instead, prepare yourself to look at the lessons from all these experiences with gratitude. If you haven't taken the time to prepare for all the things that are about to happen from January 2025 to December 2025, then be prepared to learn a lot of lessons that you will receive with gratitude. I'm seeing, when I look at 2025, I'm also seeing the number 25 split by 02. And when I see a single digit preceded by a 0, to me that has the same energy as if I were to see a double digit split by a 0. So for instance, if I were to see the number 202, the number 202, if you were to, I call it to raise it, put a 0 in between. And the energy of 202 would be an experience that occurs, and you're allowing yourself to feel it. You're allowing your gut feeling to evaluate what it really means. And it might not make logical sense, but your gut feeling, it has kind of an idea of what this experience is about, where it came from, why is it happening, what does it mean, okay? Between the 0 before you get to the second 2, that represents time passing by. So the first experience happened and you had your initial gut feeling, your first impression of it, okay? And then time went by, and then it happened again, and you experienced it again, but this time it actually has a deeper meaning, because the first time that it happened, time passed by after the first experience and you had time to sit with it and kind of really evaluate it. Sometimes something happens and it may not sit well with you the first time you experience something, okay? But after time passes by and you go through experiences, or maybe you're looking around and you're seeing other people around you that are going through the same thing that you went through, and these people could mean a great deal to you. It could be your significant other that's going through the same thing that you went through, and it means something deeper to you now, because it may not have meant as much to you if it was just you, but then somebody that you really love, care for deeply, went through the same thing, and all of a sudden it means something completely different. Maybe the first time you experienced it, you didn't feel a whole lot, but the second time you experienced it, there was a larger, deeper, more personal. It was actually more personal when it affected people that you loved, and now all of a sudden the empathy comes through. That's what I'm seeing here. That's the difference between the 22 energy, which is about building something that you've really taken the time to brainstorm, like building something that you've been trained to build, that maybe you got educated for, or something that was your passion but you never actually got to make anything out of it. Well, the 22 is about having the opportunity to do that, because now you have the skills to apply that knowledge that you learned, that higher knowledge that you learned. When you apply 202 the way that I talked about it a minute ago, it's like a master builder energy, but it's like when you become the embodiment of that quality of whatever it is that you build. Like, you could be someone who draws buildings. You could be an architect, okay? Or you could be Frank Lloyd Wright. You know what I'm saying? The difference between 22 and 202 is 22 would be like an architect that's on staff at a firm. Just a staff architect at a firm. But 202 would be like the embodiment of the whole firm. Say, for instance, if Frank Lloyd Wright owned an architecture firm, if Frank Lloyd Wright was still with us and he owned an architecture firm, he would be a 202 energy, because he is the embodiment of the whole firm. And that firm carries his vision. It feels like Frank Lloyd Wright. So it would be very likely that a lot of the buildings, a lot of the projects that that particular architecture firm would take on would be of maybe a certain type. Maybe they'd build a certain type of structure. They'd have a certain type of style. Like, anybody who saw a building that was designed from Frank Lloyd Wright's architecture firm would know that it was a Frank Lloyd Wright, because it had a certain feel about it. There are certain sensitivities about it. There are certain things that he would never let slip. He'd never design a building if it didn't have a certain type of, I don't know, signature to it, a certain feature to it, so that people would know that it was something from his firm. So when I look at 2025, I see 2025 split by a 0-2. 0-2, we know that 2 is a feminine number. So a 0 in front of the 2, it tells me like it means the embodiment of the whole aspect of femininity. I'm thinking of, it's the very description of the divine feminine. So 2025, what I'm seeing, 25 is split by a 0-2. Moving, this energy of moving through the year really fast, there's going to be a lot of events that are going to happen right on the heels of the other ones. But I'm feeling this divine feminine energy of making sure that everything is taken care of, making sure, like, orderly. You're moving through quickly, but you're not moving through thoughtlessly. You're moving through quickly, but you're not leaving a lot of mess behind you. The divine feminine influence on this year, 2025, is that it's going to be an influence of being proactive. I'm hearing measure twice, cut once. You're going to be proactive about the actions that you take, especially if you didn't take the time to prepare last year. There's so many things that went on. A lot of people were just reeling energetically in shock. They didn't really understand the gravity of everything happening in 2024 until the awakening of 12/12, when we were having all this UAP activity and just a lot of crazy things from 12/12 all the way to 12/31. It kept getting weirder and weirder and moving faster and faster. And I even remember talking about how there was one point in the year where I received a message that technology was going to advance 14 years and 14 days. It was energy like that. It was really unprecedented, and it made a lot of us feel not grounded. And so if you didn't really take a whole lot of time to prepare before you got to 2025, don't beat yourself up too much, because we endured a lot. You went through more last year than you ever imagined that you could. So if you're listening to this message right now, give yourself a pat on the back for being here. You made it through. I hope you celebrated at the beginning of the year, because it was difficult. I can feel the energy. I'm also hearing an aspect of 2025 when we talk about this embodiment of the divine feminine. Allowing yourself to be proactive and not move through this year in a thoughtless way, but with actual consideration. Measure twice, cut once type of an attitude. I don't like to use the word luck, but some people call this kind of energy like lady luck. But it's not really, I don't want to like give it a personification. It's a feminine energy that really will add an advantage to this year. If you move through this year honoring that divine feminine aspect of moving through thoughtfully, then this year will be a lot more fortunate for you. And that really goes without saying. So I'm looking at my tic-tac-toe chart here that I like to call it my tic-tac-toe chart. And what I'm seeing, I see 1 for January down in the bottom left corner. And then there's, since it's the 2nd and it's 2022, there's 3 2s there. 3 2s gives me an energy of doing things with the right motive. You know, just being really sincere. No ulterior motives and whatever it is that you do. So moving through, sarcasm won't go well. Sarcasm doesn't really go too well. Sarcasm, passive aggression, it doesn't really work too well anyway. But really, this is an energy about being sincere. Say what you mean. Try to express yourself clearly so that people really understand. There's an energy here of really wanting people to understand. You don't want to confuse people. The idea is to help people understand. Also, all year long, there's going to be a 5 in the middle of the tic-tac-toe chart. That tells you something about 2025. 5 energy, especially when you look at it as the middle of the tic-tac-toe chart. 5 energy is about taking a chance. I think of 50-50. When you try something that you've never tried before. And this is not scientific or anything like that, but if you've never done it before, let's just say that you had a 50-50 chance of being successful or unsuccessful when you tried it, okay? Let's just say that you didn't succeed the first time you tried it. You may feel disappointed. Let's say you didn't succeed the second time you tried it. Okay, now you're probably going to start feeling more disappointed. But are you going to keep on feeling disappointed, just feeling disappointed, and that's it? Every time you try something and it doesn't work? There's actually a way of being able to improve your chances of success. And what I'm seeing here is we're going to have a whole year to do things differently with this new light that we have integrated into our being. And we are going to be able to do things that we've never done before, but we won't be able to do those things unless we actually attempt it. And Spirit is telling me that don't give up just because you try something 2 or 3 times or more times and it doesn't work out the way that you expected. What they're saying is, if you don't allow the disappointments of trying something and it not working out to make you bitter, then you will learn more compassion for yourself, and eventually you'll learn a method that works for you. You keep trying, and every time you try, write down your result. If you didn't succeed, write down why you didn't think you succeeded. Think about it. Write down what you think that you might be able to do differently next time to make your next attempt successful. And then try it again and keep trying. You will improve. Because if you keep doing that, if you have a scientific approach to trial and error, eventually you're going to fail less. You're going to succeed more. So the energy that I'm getting, I'm seeing like the 8 energy, and it's coming from the 48. Because when you add 1 and 2, and 20 plus 25 is 45, so that gives you 48. That's where I'm seeing this 8 in the chart. That 8 energy is telling me that every time you try something, it's an opportunity to do it differently, an opportunity to improve, continuous improvement. Now, when we look at the numbers, just January 2nd, 2025, we don't have a 3 in any of those numbers, but when you add them all together, first of all, if you add all the single digits together, you get 12. And when you sum 12, you get 3. Also, if you were to add 1 plus 2 plus 45, you get 48. And if you add 48, 4 and 8 together, you get 12. And then you add 12, you get 3. So there's an unspoken 3 in today's tic-tac-toe chart. There is an implied arrow of the planner here. So today's energy is really encouraging you to stick to your plans. There's an accent on the creativity here. There's an accent on the be original here. You're being encouraged to try something that you've never tried before, or do something in a different way. If you gravitate toward like a certain flavor all the time, say you like to make chocolate cake, today might be a really good day to like make cinnamon rolls or something. Or today might be a really good day to make a lemon meringue pie or something. Today would be a really good day to veer away from chocolate cake today, for example, is what I'm seeing. And but period, the energy of 3 is about creation. It's about art, creativity. So even if you decide to make your old stand by your chocolate cake, make the chocolate cake. And I'm also seeing the 1 for January and then the 5 in 2025. If we had a 9, and we do have a 9 when we add 2025 together, that gives you 9. There's an implied arrow of determination. So get started. Don't be afraid to take a risk and do something different, and follow through and just take it wherever it goes. Don't be afraid if you get started and you take a chance. Don't be afraid if you're going to take a chance. Don't be afraid to like really dream big. Dream. If you're taking a chance on something, you're already out of your comfort zone. Just go way out there. It's the energy of shoot for the stars and land on the moon. There's something about lightning. Maybe electricity here. Electricity is really important for someone. Lightning. And with today being Thursday, I'm thinking of Thursday. Thursday comes from Thor's Day. And so that's where I'm getting the lightning bolt from. So there's something about electricity. There's something about like sudden enlightenment, like an aha moment maybe. There's something about maybe like a sudden surge of energy. Maybe a literal electrical storm maybe that I'm seeing here. And it's connected to this It's connected to this heavy feminine energy that I'm feeling today. There's a possibility that something today is going to occur that is so profound and so sudden and so enlightening, but not in a scary way, in a big way. I'm hearing it's going to knock your socks off, and we still have more hours in the day. There's something really big that you've been waiting for, and you're being encouraged to honor your divine feminine. Stay in your divine feminine energy. Allow yourself to feel. Allow yourself to appreciate collaboration, communication, something about concern. Allow yourself to feel concern. Allow yourself to care. Your blessing is going to be attached to your ability to care, and then you making a conscious choice to show that you care. This blessing that you're going to receive is going to be a reward for you using your free will to demonstrate that you care. That you care in general. There's a general energy that's coming through right now that said that people who have gotten ahead by exploiting people, using people, and not caring about them as people will not succeed from this point on. If you've gotten ahead by exploiting people, if you've gotten ahead by cashing in on other people's energy, cashing in on other people's property, cashing in on other people's light, monetizing their light, amortizing their lives, you won't succeed anymore from this point on. From 2025 onward, it's about conscious creation. And if you didn't create it, then you need to appreciate the one who did.